Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea with AmericanScouser.com. Just coincidence. I just happen to have the grumpy on this morning, but it's not because I'm grumpy. I mean, far from it. But got the coffee rolling. Trevor's with us as always. Trevor, what's happening, man?
Good things.
Good things, right? So
Yes.
the beer works. So keep the beer coming in the mornings, I guess. And
Yeah. Or if not, you got vitamin water.
oh man,
When you get
you
banged up.
really mix it up. Well, of course, we think it's bottle. The bottle is a vitamin water. We never know what's inside. But
No, no.
and Alex is with us as well this morning. Alex, what's up, man?
Oh, nothing much. Just getting the day started. So,
Yes, and starting it well. But before we even get to that stuff, few like programming and other announcements and stuff. Let's get that out of the way and do it because I suck at doing these and always forget them. So number one is we got the giveaway started again. We did this
Oh,
a
wrong
month
way.
or so ago. It's for our YouTube channel. All you have to do is, yeah, way to advertise. You're
I
great,
was, I
doing
was
great
going
in
the wrong
like
way for a
Jeopardy.
second.
Um, you know, we're running this again. Three winners. All you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to American Scouser YouTube channel. If you follow the channel, you automatically qualify. We get three winners. So the last three winners already got their awards and all that kind of stuff. And actually, I'm looking for pictures for a couple of them to be submitted so they can see the shirts in action, if you will. But yeah, head over to the YouTube channel, just follow, and boom, just like that, you're freaking qualified. Second thing is this thing over here. And I'm freaking getting better at this game, by the way. But anyway, gaining my form in FIFA 23, ready for this tournament. We're gonna start it probably over the World Cup. We're thinking, because that's when everybody will have more time. Because we have games coming left and right now, so I'm assuming everybody will have more time for some FIFA right now. I freaking make time for FIFA. I take my FIFA seriously. But yeah, if you're interested, just let us know. You can head over to our Discord channel. We have a special channel just for the FIFA. And even if you don't want in the tournaments, you don't think you're that good to compete or whatever, it's a good way to connect with other Liverpool fans who are FIFA players, to do friendlies, co-op, and all that kind of stuff. So bring it on is all I have to say. I think, Trevor, you said no. Alex, are you a gamer, by the way?
yeah, I was playing FIFA last night on my PS4. So,
All right. Okay. So you see, we have another one right here. So okay, let's get to the morning headlines, which are mostly Champions League related. So obviously, we'll talk a little bit about the game yesterday. It's just exactly what we expected with Trevor. I mean, we called it all freaking morning, didn't we, Trevor? So even in the pre-match, we called it. There you go, Alan's got the tea going. Alex, do you have anything over there? Coffee in the car, or
oh, just water.
that's what, man, you guys are like just living the healthy life, making me look bad. Okay.
No.
That guy's
Far
drinking
from
vitamin
it.
water and shit over there. What the hell is going on? Okay. Um, Speaking of what the hell is going on, what the hell happened yesterday? Trevor, we'll start with you. I mean, we talked about it in the pre-match. We saw the lineup. I mean, this is obviously not really right, kind of right. This is probably what Klopp says he's doing.
Yeah.
Like Klopp must have submitted this to the website. They're like, no, it's not a 4-2-3-1. This is how we play. What do you say about this? And what did you think of the game in general?
Uh, it was two very different halves, obviously. The first half, I had to listen to on the radio. I had things where I had to kind of drive around for a bit, and it was not good. It was everything that we thought Rangers weren't going to do. They kind of went for it a little bit, and all the people that I thought were going to just sit back did not. And they went and they were talking before the game that they needed both their players and their fans to be brave, and for that first half they were. But yeah, things kind of took a turn.
Yeah, I mean, it started like sadly just another Liverpool game this season, kind of slow on the back foot again. I mean, they had a couple of chances within the first 5 minutes, not clear chances, but at least like shots. One on goal, one the one that Kent hits over the bar. Um, what do you think, Alex? I mean, did you like the lineup when it came out? And I mean, I'm sure you liked the result, but did you like the play overall?
Um, I mean the like I was saying in Discord yesterday, I know we were really bagging on that goal, like bad defensively, and my argument was, yeah, that it wasn't the best, but Scott Arfield had a lot to do with that finish. I mean, that was a brilliant goal by him, but I thought it just, for whatever reason, and it's been a Liverpool thing even since before this season, we have a habit of giving up the first goal before we actually wake up. And I mean, it's happened over the past couple of years, whether it's Champions League, whether it's FA Cup, League Cup, league games. It's kind of like a habit for Liverpool to give up the first goal, and then for whatever reason, after that first goal, it like pisses them off, and then they go on a tear. And that's basically what happened yesterday.
I think, that's is the part that I have an issue with, because to me, it's more of a mindset thing and an approach thing, and probably a confidence thing than anything else that we get that first goal in, Trevor. Because, I mean, you can't put it on injuries, you can't put it on this and that. It's like, we got to start. And you would think this happens once, this happens twice. When it's like constantly happening, you would think it's a huge talking point. I don't know if it's like backfiring. I know Klopp ignores it, but I guarantee you Klopp does not ignore it or call it a stupid stats at team meetings. So is it more like in their heads, like they're coming out not to get scored on, which affects how we play, or we just come out flat every freaking time?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's not the latter of just a flatness from the start, because once is a coincidence, two is once a coincidence, two is a trend, three. What's 11? What's 11 times? I don't know exactly how many instances that you can just sit there like, oh well, they're just gonna come back anyways. That it's just troubling. I don't particularly like it. I don't like the notification with the other team with a 1 in the bracket first. That's not ideal.
Those damn phone notifications.
Yeah, I had to like turn them off for the games and stuff, but we were having issues with the app yesterday, so I like turned them back on, and just while staring at a blue circle in the middle of the TV, I'm just like, my phone is just going ape late in the game, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, nothing to worry about here. But you gotta stop conceding first, because it's fine against Rangers. Yes. Sunday, it will not be.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I mean, even aside from Sunday, I feel like when you play, so let's go to, I mean, the boys tonight will dissect the hell out of the game, I'm sure, Maka, Jamie, and David. But a couple of things I want to look at is a couple of the performances that will be, I mean, key moving forward as well. First of all, that right side of defense, Alex, Konate and Gomez, what do you make of that?
I think it looks a lot more comfortable defensively over there. I know Gomez had that. He had a rough start in the beginning of the game, but I mean, really after that, he really did shut down that wing. I mean, Kent got a couple crosses in. Sure, that's fine, but I think the defense handled it pretty well. But Konate last night, I mean, he is looking to be the future center back for Liverpool. He is just that good. And I think when he came in, it'd be interesting to see him playing with Trent, because I think Trent's very comfortable with Konate playing right next to him. And I think Van Dijk is as well. And then Robbo came on, and it looked a lot more solid towards the end of the night. But I think that last night, last week we said maybe it might be Rangers, but I think they just looked a little bit more solid back there. It took Konate a little bit to get in the game, his first start, but I think he looked solid. I think they both did.
How about you, Trevor? I mean, one thing you get with Gomez is probably a bit more defensive approach, and the dude has, I mean, he's done this when he's a center back too. Like, he can make a positioning mistake, but he's fast. And he's a strong dude. I mean, he doesn't look it, but he's a strong dude to be able to shoulder people off the ball. And he's fast enough to make up for his bad positioning at times and catch up with play. The only thing I noticed yesterday, you don't get with Gomez there is when he receives the ball, not on the wing, but where normally like Trent gets it a bit more towards the middle, where Trent would probably cross it in or maybe start making a run towards the middle. I think the teams are not as scared when Gomez receives the ball there. I sensed a lot more panic because of Trent's delivery, that when Gomez receives the ball there's less of a panic on the defense. They're like, okay, he got the ball. It's almost like when Costas gets the ball too. Both of them don't have that threat of taking you down to the line or maybe cutting inside, making something agile, if you will. And you kind of don't get that with Gomez. But at the same time, I mean, he had a beautiful assist. That was a perfectly placed ball to Bobby. And I know he had some like misplaced passes especially in the beginning, I think, while he was kind of getting into the game. But I thought that was like really promising by Joe, who I still freaking am pissed off about him being signaled out in Napoli game. Let the record show for the 10th time. That still pisses me off that he was taken off at halftime as a scapegoat. But go ahead, Herb.
Yeah, and I think that's a trade-off that you have to make with Gomez on the right rather than Trent. Is you're going to have a guy that's going to stay at home more. He's not going to have the best in terms of outlet capabilities. He's not going to find that crossfield ball or that slide down the sidelines to Mo over there. It's just not what he does, because he's got a center back's mentality that he can play right back. But I think he played, like you said, after that first kind of shaky 20 minutes or so, he was really confident. And I agree that him with Konate, it allows that side to just be a spot that's not where teams can really attack, where even with Trent, you have that ability to make teams pay if they make a mistake. With this one, the payment is they have to go somewhere else. And yeah, it's something different because you just get used to a certain style of play with the personnel. But when you change it up and those guys can make what they do work, I think that's perfectly fine.
So, I mean, in some ways, Alex, it's like the ideal scenario, right? It's a comfortable win. You got to rotate. You got Mo his goals. He got his quickest freaking hat trick. So he has that to kind of build up on. And I know, like, even in the first goal, he was like, but then, even he started having fun as he got the second and the third one in, because he was like, oh, shit, this shit is back kind of a deal. You got Nunez's goal. You got to bring Robo in and get him like 20 minutes or so. And I think we will now see him at the City game because of it. It's an ideal scenario. You got Harvey, Fabio. So what do you take away from this game that you can still apply to, I don't want to just say the City game, but to the Premier League? Like, what did you see out there? You're like, you know what? This will carry on to the Premier League.
Well, I think the biggest thing yesterday going into the game, it seemed like kind of media-wise and everything is there's not as much pressure on Liverpool right now. And so last night you saw into the second half where players could just play. And I think that's going to play into this weekend because definitely this weekend we are not the favorites for that game. And I think that'll play in Liverpool's hands. And it always seems to happen that way. For whatever reason, these guys, they love to make it like we're out of everything and there's no pressure on us. As soon as there's no pressure on the team, then that's when they all of a sudden just pull it out of the bag and then they just go on a tear. And I was making that argument last night in Discord. So I think that was my takeaway. That second half also was just ruthless. That looked like vintage Liverpool, the pressure, the quick passes, the crosses in, the 1-2 touches. I mean, Jota came on and put some amazing passes in. Salah with some amazing finishing. I think if you're a Liverpool fan, compared to the Ranger game last week to this week, I am more optimistic about the game that happened last night than the game that happened last week. if that makes any sense.
Yes, I mean I agree to that because I think, like I say, like some of the things we saw, we didn't have last game. We won. We were like, yeah, but it's like we were dominant, but we're like, oh, it's Rangers, and we're like, oh, this 4-2-3-1 works like a charm, but hey, it's Rangers. I mean, it's still Rangers, Trevor, but I think the way it unfolded in that second half, and like I say, all these things, and I didn't even mention Bobby's form. Confirming Bobby's form right now on top of everything. What do you think carries on, or are you still, because we talked about it earlier in the week, right? It was going to be like, I mean, for me, it would have to take something like this to say, oh, wait a second, this could carry on. Because before then, I felt more like it's going to be like kind of what like Alex is saying, like last week's 2-0 win. It was going to be like, meh.
Yeah, and those were kind of the expectations I had because there was a lot of rotation. You had a lot of guys that were trying to figure stuff out with either playing in a new spot or trying to just get through healthy to the weekend. And what the second half did was just it gave a lot of people confidence that needed it, and it gave a lot of credence to what can be done even without all of the big guns running out there. And I think it's something that I just hope translates to a just clean performance on Sunday. It's one of those things where you don't want the moral victory of, oh, we played well, but we lost, or we played well and we drew. You want to go out there and win. But I think that showing yesterday just gave so much life to a lot of lifeless players. And the biggest one I think is Mo, but the guy that I want to see now as well, the guys plural as a combination are Nunez and Firmino, because they did exactly what we were talking about before the game. Just kind of let Bobby sit behind him, and just all those runs that Nunez was making, Bobby was at least getting the ball on his feet or getting it close to make Rangers have to adjust to it. And it was something where it just brought out the best in both guys and freed up space for everybody up front to just do what they do.
And I think another positive, I mean, there were like a lot of positives, like the more I think about it, but was probably Elliott's and his play. Carvalho did well as well, but especially in the first half, it looked like the only time we were dangerous was when we were able to get Elliott's on the ball facing their goal and they didn't know where to go. They were like backpedaling to kind of contain him. Some of his like final passes there, that's something that I think he has to improve on, apart from obviously the defensive work rate and stuff like that. But Alan has a quote from Ali McCoy saying Bobby is one of the most intelligent footballers I've seen in a long time. And here's the thing with Bobby that I think we always give shit to Gally on the podcast because he has downplayed Bobby's performances, and he has come back strong. He was actually ripping on himself last episode, but his value does not get understood because I think everybody treats him as like a typical number 9 or something like that. And like Victor always says, the dude is like a unicorn. I mean, there's no other like him. And I think Carvalho, now that he's on with us, I feel like he could be the closest thing down the road to Bobby. When we signed Taki, I was like, okay, they're trying to make Taki kind of like what Bobby does, but you got to have the strength. I mean, the dude has strength to be able to do hold up play as well. And I mean, that pass to Nunez before the goal, that's just so freaking Brazilian that it's not even funny. Like, I've always loved playing Brazil. Like, Gally gives me shit because somehow all the players I hate and despise are Brazilian, like Neymar or, Richarlison but like the thing, that's what I love about him. That's why I feel like, you can tell there's Brazilian in Thiago as well. I mean, just the way they do some of those things, like very subtly, like it wasn't, and they're not doing it to show off. It's just like second nature. That pass he does over there. I mean, most of us just pass it with the inside of our foot, but no, he has to do like a fancy thing because that's how they roll over there. So from this lineup, if we did, Alex, I'll ask you this because I'm sure Trevor and I will be able to go into it a lot more for the City game tomorrow's morning coffee. who do you put in? Who do you take out for this lineup going into the weekend now?
I mean, I think you have to put Salah, and I think you have to put Robertson in. Those are the two that I would say. Especially with Salah. Like I didn't so when they said that was the fastest hat trick, I didn't realize that was a champion league record. I thought Lewandowski did that last year, but I didn't realize he broke it last night. And the way he was finishing, I mean, he could. There was a couple of times where he could have had like that first chance he had. He could have had four. He could have had four, honestly, at when he started. But I think you have to start Salah. Just based on that, he was pissed off after that Arsenal game, and you could tell that he took it out on Rangers. So I think he's going to be pissed off for this weekend because there's going to still be doubters about him. So he's going to be pissed off and ready to go. I like Bobby and Nunez up there rotating. Like Trevor said, I think they look very good together, those two. I think those two have a good understanding. And it helps that Bobby speaks his language, and they're both not very good at English. So those two obviously have a bond together. And I know that sounds bad, but they have that bond together. And I think they know what each other wants, and they can be very similar. So I think those two starting up would be great. And I think obviously Robinson over Tsimikas would be fantastic. Robinson came on, and like you said last night, Tim, he was everything that we missed the past couple weeks.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, when he came in, I was like, "Damn, man, I missed this dude." Like, he made a couple of those like vintage runs. He runs like he's like 12, but like he made a couple of those runs, and I was like, "Man, I missed this dude." Like, I feel like he was. I mean, people kind of blew up Costas way too much, I think, and almost saying like, I don't think it's even close in terms of like the levels they play in.
No.
And really, Costa struggled a lot with that dude yesterday. How he did not get a yellow for giving the dude a hug is beyond me. And he could have gotten like another yellow afterwards. And somehow he gets like he kind of like jostles with the dude and gets on the wrong side of him. Like he was trying to get to the wrong side or something like that in one situation. So he definitely struggled a lot with, I can't remember the kid's name, but I mean, he was fast and everything, but he really struggled against them. If we could just bring him like a field goal kicker, like if he could just take corner kicks, if he could just somehow finagle that with FA, I think that I would love him to do that. But I think it's really great to have Robertson back. And I think after coming in and playing those minutes yesterday, I can definitely see him starting against City. And I actually would like to see him starting against City. I know Robo sometimes does weird stuff on defense and jacks up the line because he's kind of like a step ahead of Van Dijk, like in behind and stuff like that. But I think his understanding of how we play and the ability to be able to do that overlap a lot more successfully, it's just a matter of how he's going to work. He never had the same chemistry that he had with Mane and with Diaz. That just never happened. And then Robo gets injured anyway as we were trying to build that. But Trevor, let's get to a few of the negatives over here. I mean, one of the things I thought was another poor performance by Fabinho there. And you need him in defensively, but I don't understand why. I think Megan was the one who said it in our Discord chat as we were like talking about it. And by the way, we keep saying Discord. If you want to join the fan channel, chat with us during the games, not only with a bunch of other contributors of the website, but just in general, just let us know. We post the invites pretty frequently. That's where this whole FIFA thing is happening as well. But anyway, like I think she's the one who mentioned, like, why are we complicating passes? He was trying to do like a Thiago impression, and he was horrible at it. Just do what you do, play the simple passes. What do you make of Fab's play yesterday?
Yeah, I think there was times where he just felt that since he had been kind of relegated to the bench for so long that he had to come in and kind of make a statement and make his presence known. And then, like you said, just did everything completely out of character in terms of what he does best. And it's something where I don't foresee it being more than like a one game blip. this isn't something that he does very often. It may have just been that the phrase that we've all used these past 2 weeks, it's Rangers. So maybe he was just trying to get on the score sheet with stuff. But yeah, if he makes some of those passes in the City game that he did against Rangers, we're going to get broken on in about 3 seconds. And then Holland's going to be doing his little Buddha pose in the corner, and I'm just going to be crying.
And that's, as I watched the game, that's what I kept thinking too. I'm like, if one of these, balls that we turn over by a stupid pass, if they get it to De Bruyne as Silva, there's so many guys on that City team that if you can just fill in the blanks and put a name. If he gets a hold of that ball with that much space and that many weapons ahead of him, we're in deep shit. And you can't give a team like City a lead and then try to chase it afterwards, because that's when it unfolds really bad. So let's get to a couple of headlines from yesterday and leave some analysis for the boys at night. This is a good one right here. Former Wales captain Ashley Williams is held back after storming onto the pitch and grabbing a coach in a headlock in front of shocked kids during his son's under 12s game. I mean, I when I first read that, I thought it was U21, which I don't know if it makes it any better. But U12, that has to be like a horrifying experience overall. But I bet you those kids play well after that because they don't want to get that. But yeah, man, some of these, if you are a parent and have like kids playing soccer and at like club level and stuff like that, I mean, how obnoxious it can really get. And usually at least this guy knows the game, so I can give him some credit for that. But usually by people who don't even understand what the hell is going on the pitch are the ones that, cause the issues. But so a couple of the things from yesterday, and that's why actually I wanted to get to real quick in terms of some of the scores from yesterday. This was a gem. I mean, we got some bonus coverage. I don't know if your phone was able to show it to you, Trevor, but Barcelona 3, Inter 3. That was some last 10 minutes over there. And Barcelona, despite signing everybody in the world with some shady economics and accounting, is possibly in some ways, more than likely out of the Champions League. What do you make of that?
It's absolutely wild to me how they were able to just let that game fall apart the way it did. I have no words for what's happening to Barcelona. They're just a team that I think just all the toxicity from behind the scenes is just oozing its way onto the field, and very talented players are making horrible mistakes at the worst times and just causing complete chaos for themselves, at least in the Champions League. Because in the league, they're doing fine, but in this competition that they've really become a staple, now they're going to go out of it 2 straight years before the knockout stages. That feels like a football manager thing. If you really just put the sliders on and you're like in the year 2070, just because you're a big Real Madrid fan and you want Barcelona relegated to the 3rd tier, so you just make all their players go somewhere else, and they're playing the U12s that Ashley Williams was pissed about.
And that's the thing. It's just as you watch the game, and by the way, that Lewandowski goal, the third one, because obviously we're watching our game, so I didn't watch the first half or anything, but that is fucking picture perfect. But then, Alex, you were the minority over here, the selfish player that wouldn't pass that Inter last second thing where they're going to just be done with it. He had 3 chances to just roll the ball across where the other guy could tap it in. He waits. Mm-hmm. I almost feel like he was trying to decide, do I pass this or do I finish it myself? And by the time he decided, it was too late to pass, and then he misses it. I mean, Inter is still in the driver's seats in terms of, at least they determine on that, and they got to play Victoria Pilsen. You would think they would win it. There are no guarantees in the Champions League, but still. But you were in the minority in terms of not passing that ball. What is wrong with you?
because I'm so used to watching Salah play. Because I know Salah would not pass there. I know.
No way. He passes that.
No, I think he tries to do a cheeky little chip and gets it in there. I'm along the lines like if you're in that position, I think you take it. But I do agree with you at some points. He took way too long. If you want to take that, you should have taken it a lot earlier than waiting until. It's also Ter Stegen. I mean, Ter Stegen is no scrub either. He's a very good goalie, and he knows when to close you down. So I think a lot of inexperience played in there. I look, me saying that you should take that shot, I am terrible. There's a reason why I play midfield and play center back is because I am terrible at finishing. So let's just go with that. My advice is not the best advice. Let's just go with that.
This is not financial advice.
Trevor, anything that shocked you from yesterday's scores? I mean, I thought this was like the most, I guess, in some ways, it was the most high-profile game. And I mean, just the way that folded made it even more interesting. But anything that kind of like shocked you otherwise?
And we talked about last week about Bruges, that seeing them in first in the way with 10 men, Mignolet was able to hold off Atletico, who we were talking yesterday about Sevilla's shithousery. And man, Atletico, when they are desperate, they really just pull out all the stops. Watching some of the highlights from that game, they just Bruges, just kudos to you for taking all those hits and then holding on. And I hope you win the group because I want to see you guys in the next round.
I mean, here's the thing. Yeah, that's another thing, by the way. I mean, that would be a possible matchup for us. And
but don't play this well if Liverpool play you. Yeah, play bad. Go play bad again.
But then again, I would still roll
more
the
games
dice
of good and then play bad.
Well, I'll take Mignolet and just keep crossing the ball in for Konate, and then I can watch Mignolet come out again. But I mean, that's one thing. Atletico Madrid must be recruiting like that. You know, any team you're on, there's always a few characters like that, right? Like when shit is not going right, they start shit and stuff, which is fine. I mean, I was partially doing that back in the day, but it's like a whole roster of like shithousery people. They're like must be part of like the recruiting process because that game got really ugly towards the end as well. But that's like an interesting group in terms of like you did not see that happening. But Tottenham get the win, so they're kind of in the driver's seat as well. And like, I mean, Sporting game was like an odd one. Sporting is one of those teams that has a ton of talent, but it's a typical Portuguese league team in some ways where they can just really blow you away if they convert their chances. But defensively, it's always a hassle. And you see that with like Porto and stuff too. Anything that you found shocking, by the way, Alex, from yesterday?
The referee decisions in that, if you take a chance to watch the highlights, 2 red cards in that game for Sporting, and there were some mad refereeing decisions, especially the last red card. I mean, he got sent. He fouled the guy, so he got a yellow, and he immediately got another yellow. He yelled something at the ref, but you know, I'm no Portuguese expert or anything, and I don't know what he actually said, and but the ref didn't like it, gave him a second yellow. But there were some mad decisions in that game yesterday. The first double yellow, the guy, he just friggin' elbows him, and he's lucky to not get a straight red. And then not even like 2 minutes later, he gives away a penalty. And that was a mad game, and that was a game that didn't even make the headlines for how weak it was, especially with that Barcelona game was mad. Liverpool wins 7-1. The Tottenham game was very good too. So like it didn't even make the headlines for that, and it was a bizarre game.
Yeah, you knew because of the matchup and the score and the implications that Barcelona game was going to be the game everybody talks about. And yeah, I mean, rightfully so, I guess. It was like something kind of like, you know, maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, you look at that Liverpool score and you're like, oh, Liverpool just smashed Rangers. But I think because of our form that it was not expected, it kind of like made it bits more different as well. Well, gentlemen, that'll be it for today. We'll save some for the boys tonight. So don't forget to tune in at 8 o'clock Central, live here on Facebook, on YouTube, and all over the place, and Twitter as well. So Macca will be hosting. God knows what he'll be drinking, probably some gin with Jamie and David there as they analyze the game. Trevor and I will be back tomorrow morning as we like kind of like close our face and just like open our eyes, take a peek at the City game. I am not looking forward to that. I think I'm preparing myself mentally for the worst. So anything I can take as a positive, but we'll talk a lot more about it tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.